Oh. Oh, hey guys, I didn't see you there. So, what the hell am I talking about today? Well, today I'm going to be talking about a 2010 action movie. So, I just looked this movie up on Google. Obviously, you know what it is from the title. So, this is a review, my take on this movie called Repeaters. Basically, the short one sentence synopsis that I see on here is three people stuck in a time labyrinth have to keep reliving a terrifying day. I don't know about terrifying day, more so one of the characters in particular turns it into a quote unquote terrifying day. But basically, these three characters, they keep reliving the same day over and over again. I'm just clicking on IMDb here, checking out the synopsis, because this is a really great movie, you guys. I would highly recommend this movie. It's a hugely underrated movie. I think I wanted to talk about it in my video about 10 movies that are underappreciated or underrated, because this movie has a 20% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and that's out of over 6,000 reviews. And quite honestly, I think it deserves to be in the sevens, at least 7 out of 10 range, because quite honestly, I love this movie. I adore this movie. I saw this movie out of nowhere. It came on the movie network back in 2010. Like, so, and this is I guess this is a Canadian film, because it says September 13th, 2010 was the release date, and they got it in brackets Canada on the IMDb page here. I do believe that it is a Canadian film. I can't remember for certain, but I've told people that that this is a Canadian film before, so I'd feel like a moron if it wasn't. But what can I say about this film? I highly recommend this film, and I've been wanting to do a video on it for a while now. I love this principal cast, the three main actors here. I think they do a marvelous job with this material, because man, oh man, this is a tough thing to get down on paper, but I feel like the way they utilize this concept of reliving the same day over and over and over again is so fascinating, and it's up there with the likes of Groundhog Day, in that this is obviously a similar premise as Groundhog Day, but where a movie like this succeeds in where a movie like Happy Death Day doesn't is in the characterization. These three lead characters are so compelling and so multi-dimensional, and they got these sort of subplots that are equally fascinating. One of them has to deal with the fact that they were not only addicted to drugs, but they were a drug dealer. They were involved in assault of some sort involving their own family member. There's another darker subplot that I don't even want to mention, because I've seen this movie about 2 or 3 times now, probably about 3, because I remember I was a big fan of it when I saw it on the movie network back in 2010 or 11 or whenever I saw it. But I was a really big fan of this movie, really big fan of the cast, really big fan of just how well structured this film is, because it's got a great cast, like obviously of unknowns. Like I've not heard of any of these actors before. I'd not seen any of their movies previously, so coming into this movie, viewing them as fresh faces, I thought they did a phenomenal job with this material. They have such great chemistry together, and their dialogue is so natural, and it's just a really wonderful movie. I mean, and it shocked me the levels of darkness in which the subject matter really delves into when it comes to this movie. It really took me for a spin how shockingly dark and disturbing some of this subject matter is. I mean, I was genuinely like thrown aback at how just shocking it was that they're talking about these things. Like for example, they're literally doing I think they're either doing crack or something in one scene, but they're smoking it, and it's just like, oh my god, like this is crazy. I mean, the fact that they're just going full tilt here, and this is definitely an R-rated movie. There's no question about that. What does it say? 14A here on IMDb. 14A. It's a very mature rated movie, but you know, and God, it just has such like it's not afraid to delve into those dark sort of taboo topics that we're all afraid to mention, but this film has the courage to confront those topics in a clear, motivated sense, where it's not just glorifying these actions, but it's sort of trying to inspire this message of hope and recovery and forgiveness and redemption. And that's overall what I really grew to appreciate about this film. I really love this main actor here. That he plays this character Kyle Halstead in this movie. Dustin Milligan is his name, and I love this guy, man. I've not seen him in any other movies to my knowledge previously, but I'm a really big fan of this actor, at least just from this movie alone. I think he's wonderful, and along with the three main cast members, I think the standout here is clearly Richard Day Clark, or Richard De Clark, however you pronounce his name. He plays Michael in this movie, and you know, he's the sort of extreme black sheep outcast of these trio of protagonists that we have throughout the course of this movie. They three respectively relive the same day over and over again, and it's only the three of them respectively, collectively, that are reliving this event. And it's such a fascinating premise, and they utilize it so well, in my opinion, to where I watch a movie like Happy Death Day and I'm just left completely I'm not interested. You know, I don't care about this character. I like the actress, though. I think she's obviously very attractive in that movie, and she's pretty damn great actress, in my opinion. But I don't know what it was, but that movie and its sequel alike, which I couldn't even get all the way through. I had to watch the kill count on it from Dead Meat. Good old James A. Janice. I love that guy. I love that channel. I'd highly recommend it. If you haven't somehow seen that channel, check out Dead Meat and his awesome kill counts. I love his takes on these movies. And hell, I'd love to see his take on this movie, because they got some death scenes in this movie, and it's obviously not a horror movie, but it's a very, you know, drama thriller sort of movie. It's very dark, very R-rated, very much not recommended for kids. But overall, I think that, you know, I would actually recommend this to kids, in the sense that I'd say this is a perfect movie to see if you were a high schooler, you know, because I think it's got a good message of redemption, and, you know, like the reason why you wouldn't want to do, you know, drugs. Like I mentioned before, they're doing crack in one scene. And it's very raw, it's very real. It feels like you're a fly on the wall in these scenarios that they get themselves into, just because these performances here, and actually every actor in this movie, aside from maybe Michael's father. Now that's the one actor that stands out as you're trying too hard here to come across as how your character's written on paper, where our character Michael has a father who's incarcerated on his behalf, and there's two scenes involving the father. Thankfully, like there are no more scenes after that, but there's two scenes involving the father where it's Michael seeing him in prison, and he's on the phone, and the first time it's just like, wow, this guy's a terrible actor, man. I mean, this guy playing the father like is just too much. Just he's the worst part about the movie, in my opinion. If I had any complaints with this movie, other than like minor, like nitpicky sort of stuff, I'd say the performance of Michael's father in this movie, whatever his name is, it's just terrible. Like the guy is really he looks the part at least, and I wish he like sort of didn't have dialogue. Maybe if he just sort of stared at his kid the whole time and just scolded him, and like the second time we get to see that same sequence, maybe we could have seen a cool spin where Michael is sort of berating him for the neglect that he's had as a kid and whatnot, and and that sort of stems from the fact that the sins of the father catch up with him. He becomes this deranged character throughout the movie. And there's a point in time where I wrote an article for some comic book site. Maybe it was Comic Book Movie or something stupid, but or maybe some other just random blog post forum bullshit as a kid. But I remember right after seeing this film, I was gung-ho in seeing Richard Day Clark be cast as the Joker, because he is so good in this movie. He, like, slowly but surely he's unraveled, just like an onion. At first you really like the character. You like him because he's bullied. He's they're in this AAA or AAA, like what is this, AAA for batteries or something? This AA group for well, it's not AA. It's like it's like this school for does it say it, the synopsis here? So I'll read the synopsis on IMDb. It says three 20-somethings find themselves in an impossible time labyrinth where every day they awaken to the same terrifying day as the preceding one. Yeah, that's a good synopsis of the movie. I just want to see. So they're interned in a rehabilitation facility run by this weirdo named Bob. So yeah, like it's just a really great movie, man, and I'm shocked at how, even just thinking about my first reaction to this movie, like damn near 10 years ago, or exactly 10 years ago at this point, but I just remember my fascination with it upon seeing it on the movie network, and just being surprised that it wasn't more talked about, more praised, because this is a really underrated movie. Like if anything, I'm pissed off at myself for not including this film on my underrated films top 10 video or whatever, where I talk about harsh times in movies that I love like that are sort of looked down upon by critics, but maybe audiences like ourselves can get a bit of appreciation out of it. I really feel like this movie is essential viewing, just because essentially it's got this positive message, and it's not afraid to talk about dark, disturbing subject matter that other more mainstream movies maybe like shy away from. There are sequences here that are very raw, very emotional, and I really feel like they utilized this premise of reliving the exact same day over and over again to the fullest extent. There's a sequence involving this jumper that really got me. That really got me. I don't want to spoil it more beyond that point, but it's kind of, as soon as you see it established in the movie itself, like there's this sort of news report of this jumper like near the beginning of the film, right before this reliving the same day plot happens, gets ignited, and then it just leads to this very poignant scene where you really get to you really grow to appreciate and like these characters as people. They feel like real grounded people that just happen to be in this sci-fi scenario here where they're reliving the same day over and over again. And it reminded me of the elements that I loved so much about Groundhog Day, where that movie, even though it's a comedy, it took its premise seriously. It cared about Bill Murray as a character, and not to mention every other supporting character along the sideline. It didn't treat anybody as if they were just window dressing. In my opinion, Happy Death Day treats its characters like they're just ornaments to be chauffeured around to different plot scenarios, and it's very just it felt like a CW series. Whereas this film, I mean, I could kind of get where like some people wouldn't like this movie. I could get where some people may think I'm just crazy for praising this film, because it's not perfect by any means. I'll say that up front. It's not a perfect film. Sometimes its lower budget shows itself. But overall, I can't deny the fact that they utilize this premise to a T. They develop a cast of extremely likable characters with backstories that make them worth rooting for. You want to see them redeem themselves by the end of this story. And it's surprisingly emotional. My biggest problems with the film is maybe near the end they take too much of a action sort of take on this premise. I would have preferred a more character-driven, subtle approach rather than I'm holding you at gunpoint, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can see where people are coming from, where if they don't like this film, I could see that disliking of the film would stem from a plot line such as that, where it's just like, this feels like the most cliched way you could have ended this. However, I feel like it's justified with all of the character development throughout the course of this story. And, other than a few problems like that, I mean, and I mentioned something else before that I honestly can't even remember. But, overall, I can't get over the fact that I absolutely, positively, 100% adore this movie. This is the type of movie that I would want to make if I was directing something, if I was writing something. I would want a cast of talented people like these. I would want, a wonderful location like this. Wherever they film this, it's very nice. It says in Mission City. I'm not sure where the hell Mission City is. But they photograph it well. And I feel like I need a drink of this, guys. Yeah, it's photographed well. Looks great. I'm just going to check out... Okay, so it is a Canadian film. Okay, thank God. Okay, so filming locations: Cleveland, Dam, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, Seymour. No, I'm not going to Seymour. But the budget apparently is $1,600,000. I'm kind of shocked by that because it seemed like the budget was lower. But even seeing that, I mean, I'm kind of shocked that it's over $1 million, this budget. But even with that in mind, I think they utilized this budget to a T, because this film visually, it looks great, sounds great. The acting's great. I mean, it's really the actors that are the main selling point of this film. The three principal leads here, I think, do a marvelous job. And I didn't mention the other actress in here, Amanda Crew as Sonia Logan. Sonia. Ironically, she's the only character who has like a link attached to her character name in IMDb. So I'm just going to click on that to see what the hell the deal is here. So, and it leads to nothing. It leads to one picture. It leads to one picture where she's got like a bandana or something, or like a gag in her mouth, and it's just like, really? You're like, come on, guys. Like, you make a page just for her, but you can't even write a synopsis or something. You just attach the picture. Like, what is your gain? What is your gain here for this? It's just ridiculous. But she's great in the film. She's got, quite honestly, the darkest of the subplots. Like I mentioned before, I don't really want to spoil what it is, because I'd highly recommend this film to you. I'd highly recommend watching it. I don't want to talk about too many spoilers. I'm tempted to include some of the clips from this movie, because I had just recently watched it, so I have it on file here. So, you know, like I mentioned with my last video, but I'm not going to do it with the last video. But, you know, I love building up false expectations for people. So maybe I'll re-edit this, but I doubt it, because I just love talking with you guys. You know, it's boring to edit stuff together sometimes. You know, it's more fun just to talk about something just without having to worry about quick cutting for the sake of comedic effect. Because, you know, in spite of popular belief, I guess, I'm trying for a bit of a comedic sort of thing with these videos, you know, as opposed to just making them outright boring, snooze-inducing videos where they just describe the plot, you know. Like, in this, I've maybe described the plot for about God knows how long. I mean, because if I mention like a time frame, people would be like, "You're a hypocrite. You're mentioning this. You're mentioning that. Blah blah blah. You're lying." Blah blah blah. Pre-credits title card. Don't wait for the last judgment. It happens every day. From Albert Camus. Very artsy. Very artsy. So before I clicked on that random link with the character link, apparently with a synopsis, I wanted to click on some of these user reviews. So the first one that pops up when I click on user reviews is 8 out of 10. A real good watch, great ending too, 8 out of 10. Old storyline, great story of redemption, awful twist in the last scene. I maybe agree with the awful twist in the last scene. I don't think it's outright awful, but I think it's unjustified. Maybe it's something that we didn't particularly need to see in the movie. But either way, I like it, because this movie is basically sort of like it's like these characters are stuck in purgatory, and they're trying to find a way out of that purgatory, and they won't be able to let themselves out of it until they come to terms with these problems in their life, these problems that they have to overcome in order to better themselves as people. And I think that's where this really shines. And actually, wow, I didn't see this, but it says welcome to purgatory as one of the reviews for the headlines. Strong performances for another one. That's 7 out of 10. Welcome to Purgatory. It's another 7 out of 10. Cast and crew know the magic. I don't know the review of this, but this seems like a positive review. Obviously, a lot of people are mentioning Groundhog Day from Bill Murray. High entertainment quality film school film. 2 out of 10. Okay, so our first negative review here. Okay, so I kind of want to read this. It's got 13 out of 22 found this helpful. So let's quickly read this from T's in the Sierras. T in the Sierras, I guess, gives it a 2 out of 10, 1 out of 5 or whatever. Repeaters contains numerous film school conventions and setups, pretty shots with shallow depth of field, while characters say things that sound profound but are meaningless. Now, you see, that's something that I disagree with, because these characters are young, they're naive, they're at this point in time where they philosophize. And, you know, there's not a lot of that sort of dialogue in this movie. I mean, I get the sense that maybe this schmuck watched about like 15, maybe 10 minutes of this film and gave up after that and just sort of assumed the rest of it through happenstance. But yeah, this is a terrible review because I don't really see him delving into the plot details. He says it's got an MTV soundtrack. Sure, I'm not a big fan of the soundtrack myself, but I think it's fine. You know, I think it's fine for the environment that these characters inhabit. I assume that it's Canadian songwriters, like Canadian songs in general. So maybe it doesn't appeal to everybody, but I think this seems like a very negative review. That's kind of unwarranted in my opinion. Whereas this 5 out of 10 one has got a more favorable view, I guess. It's got 4 out of 5 who found this helpful. It says it's not developed well enough. I'm not going to click on it because it says warning spoilers, so I'll just leave it. We got a 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10, repetitive, 4 out of 10, great at first, but long and boring as it goes on. And that is complete bullshit because this movie is 89 minutes, if I recall, from the runtime. 89 minutes, that's not long. 89 minutes. Whereas basically every superhero movie we get now is like 2.5 hours long or an entire series of malarkey. Give me a break. I like this one. So, Groundhog's Day for crack addicts. That's what I'm talking about. Another 2 out of 10. In the end, just another dumb movie. 1 out of 10. Don't bother. Wow, and a lot of people like 6 out of 10 for that one. So that's just over favorable. 16 out of 34 for in the end, just another dumb movie. Number 6, not a synopsis. As it states, I'm not going to repeat what you already know. Yeah, okay, so this guy, 5 out of 5, or wait, 5 out of 8, sorry. For this guy, I found it helpful for 6 out of 10. So I think from just rifling through these, lice, die, repeat, 3 out of 10. 3 out of 5 agree with him, of course. Bzzzt, no, again. Watchable, though not likely repeatable. I mean, I disagree with that, and that's a 6 out of 10. That's one of the more favorable reviews on here. One person found this helpful, and if I was to have an IMDb account, I would sign in and vote for that being another favorable or helpful review, I guess. But yeah, I like I said previously, I think I've seen this about 2 or 3 times now. I'm wagering that I've seen this 3 times. Because I remember vividly, I watched it once. I liked it when I saw it on the Movie Network. They have this sort of recording feature on the Movie Network, or like I guess all of these satellite channels or whatever, where they have these channels and you can just set a timer to record certain things, but you got a limit, so you got to delete some things and you got to do this and that, blah blah blah. And I was living with roommates at the time, and I would record a lot of stuff like new episodes of Dragon's Den and stuff like that, and a lot of times I'd be hearing like, what's going on? Why is the channel changing when I'm watching this show? And I'm like, oh shoot, sorry guys. Like, I'd figure that this would be something that we would watch and that, you know, we would like. Final review. Final review I see on here is 1 out of 10. Childish, infantile, moronic. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Wow, look at, yeah, top of my head. This is how I'm going to speak from now on, you guys. Are you a fan of the way I caught this shot? This is high quality cinematography here, you know? My head is in like about 5% of the frame and my arms can't even reach the top of it. Oh, there we go. You get to see my my jeans sort of popping up here. Whoops. Rip my jeans more so than they already are. Look at that. Boop, knees, boop, knees. Bee's knees. Guys, on the bee's knees. Drink them if you got them. Anyhow, you know, I love talking about movies, you know, and I've wanted to make an excuse for myself to talk about movies more on this channel, and I just figure this would be the easiest way, because I always love editing stuff together, you know, like I did this Punisher video a while ago, and you know, I worked really hard in editing the clips together, the clips that I wanted to fit in. I feel like maybe I could have shortened that video down a bit. I feel like at 40 minutes talking about 3 of the Punisher movies and talking about the Netflix series, maybe that's a bit extreme. But I don't know. I just love talking about film in general. Anything to do with film and actors, you know, it's something that I've had in my life ever since I was a kid. It's something that helped me, maybe not mature, but I feel like certain movies have the capacity to make you mature in compelling ways, and I feel like this movie is one that is highly underappreciated, and I would highly recommend it to anybody. Even if they don't particularly like this film, I feel like there's something about it that is compelling. You know, whether it be the fact that it handles the subject matter with care and nuance and isn't afraid to talk about these topics, because they are very, you know, like brutal topics to talk about, but you know, it's the fact that they have the courage to write a script about things like these. And you know, just I've always loved a good redemption arc for characters, and I feel like this is a premise that works really well in telling a sort of redemptive arc. Mind you, I don't think it works as well as something like Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. I think that is just a perfect movie. I think that is a flawless movie. I think that is one of the best comedies of all time. Bill Murray is phenomenal in that film. Not Groundhog Day, but Happy Death Day, that basically tried to ape off of that movie, is just garbage in my opinion. Both of them. Like, the sequel's even worse in my opinion, because it does this stupid, like, heavily sci-fi subplot where they got this guy who can't act, who's trying to share exposition with the audience, and it's just like, we don't care. We don't care about how this time travel thing works, how this reliving the same day thing over and over again works. We don't care. We just care about how does it change these characters for the better or for the worse. You know, one or the other. Give us a story, give us characters that we can care about. And in Happy Death Day, it just seemed like one character that you're supposed to care about, and the rest are just caricatures, in my opinion. Say what you will, I mean, you could disagree with me. You know, and that's fine. If you like those movies, good for you. I'm happy you got something out of them. Unlike myself, I hated those movies. I thought they were obnoxious. They felt like they were playing to the CW crowd. I couldn't believe some people that I respect actually liked those movies. I was shocked. I was like, I want to say appalled, but you know, it's just people's opinions, you know, and you know, we all have our different opinions on movies. A lot of people liked Ready Player One, for instance. I fucking hated that movie. I think it's one of the worst movies ever. Like, just a completely misguided, harebrained, gutless, heartless, soulless pile of corporate, greedy nonsense that is just there to milk nostalgia and there to milk the fan bases of all these random things that we throw in the movie for 1 minute. Like, we got Jason, we got Chucky, we got Mechs or Gundam, we got this, we got that, we got the Iron Giant, blah, blah, blah. We got Batman, this and that, blah, blah, and it's just overwhelming. Overwhelming. And I'm getting sick and tired of studios selling movies on this stupid, nostalgic-driven bull-loney. I'm sick and tired of it, and I want more fresh, original ideas. And while this is clearly inspired by Groundhog Day, like I've mentioned it, it's basically mentioned in every damn review for this movie, Groundhog Day. But that is not a problem. That is not a problem. If anything, that is something that's decent about this movie. I'd at least recommend watching this movie once, because even the most middle of the road review that I came across here, like it's even got middle of the road reception towards it. Like 7 out of 14 people found this helpful. It says 5 out of 10 good but not worth repeating. I feel like a lot of people probably would deeply enjoy this movie if they gave it a chance. So that's what this video is about. Give this movie a shot, you guys. Give it a watch. It's not a bad movie at all. I think all these harsh reviews that this film has gotten is just completely nonsensical, and just rifling through some of their opinions here, it's just complete and utter malarkey. But at the same time, I don't like being like that, where I'm just like, oh, if you don't believe what I have to say, then you're completely full of it, because everybody has a different perception. And that's what I love about film, the fact that you can have a conversation about film and feel different ways, and sort of just, debate these films with people, rather than just like point the finger and say, you're wrong, you're full of it, you're this, you're that, blah blah blah, how dare you not like this movie, what are you, a fascist? And it's just like, no. Everybody has their own opinion about a movie, and political stances in movies are unacceptable in my opinion. That's why people hate The Last Jedi, for instance. Whether or not you love that movie or not, I mean, it doesn't matter. If you bring politics into a movie, you're going to have a big fucking problem. So don't do it. Don't do it. Don't make your movies political statements where you're basically standing on a podium and praising about how you're not racist, whereas everybody else that disagrees with you is a racist. That is complete and utter, lazy, pathetic filmmaking at its finest. And it's films like Repeaters from 2010 here that don't give a damn about the politics of it. They give a damn about telling a good story that's coherent, that makes sense, with good, fleshed out characters and wonderful performances from a wonderful, well-cast movie. This is great stuff. I'm so happy to be talking about this film with you guys, and I'll be talking about more movies on a solo basis that I really love, because there are so many movies out there where they may not be perfect, but I feel like so many people underestimate their quality. And this is the one that I've been wanting to talk about for maybe a decade now, because it came out in 2010 and it's 2020, mid-2020 now. And I'm finally talking about it, and I should have talked about it in 2010. But, maybe I didn't have the courage to speak my mind around that time. Maybe I didn't feel the need to, because so much of YouTube seems to be this whole bandwagon riding, whatever's the most popular thing. And I've tried that before, and it's not fun. It's not fun trying to ride the popularity of certain topics. And I've tried to do it in subtle ways before with my past videos. Like, I don't have any examples in mind because I've made too many videos on this particular channel, but I've made my mistakes in the past. I've said stupid things that I look back upon and I say, wow, what the hell was I thinking with this? Either I was too profane, I was too 100% on being sold on one particular thing, or whatever. There's so many variables, and people change over time. And yeah, it's just fun to talk about stuff like that with you guys, and I really appreciate you guys talking with me. There's this fella, You know, I don't want to mention him by name because I don't know if he wants to be, but you know, there's this fella that commented on my last video, and I really appreciate it, man. If you're watching this video, thank you very much. If you don't mind me if you don't mind me naming you by name, let me know because I'll mention you in the next video probably. But you know, I just appreciate people that aren't afraid to share their opinions, you know, whether I disagree with them or not. I mean, it's fair game here. It's just movies, you know. They aren't the end of the world here. Everybody's going to have their opinion on this movie compared to that movie. And you know, I love talking about film with you guys, and I appreciate you keeping up with me. And for everybody that's subscribed to my channel, that, you know, I doubt you're watching this video now if you've subscribed for the music videos that I've made. But if you have, you know, like I'll be making more of those, and I'll be talking, of course, more about movies, because videos like these where I don't have to edit them, they're so much easier to digest for me. I don't know if they're easier to digest for you, having to bear with this mug of mine for half hour or more, however long this video's run for. But yeah, let me emphasize this again in case it didn't come across as clear enough to you before. Watch Repeaters 2010, from 2010. Great Canadian film, great cast, wonderful characters. Or I'd say wonderful characters, wonderful cast, great characters. I'd love to see these actors in more things going forward. I'm actually, you know, after I make this video, I'm going to look up more about what these actors, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to do it now because, like, I'm probably going to have one of those reactions if I've actually seen these guys in other things before. And going to be like, whoa, I should have talked about that in the video. So let's check it out now, just to find out. So we got our three leads here: Richard DeClark, Dustin Milligan, and Amanda Crew. And so right away I'm seeing, okay, except for Richard DeClark, I'm seeing the trailer footage for Repeaters here. So yeah, that is his most popular film, and for good reason. He's a standout in the film. He's my second favorite of these principal actors, I suppose. Okay, so Dustin Milligan has been in some movies before. With he's on this new show with Eugene Levy called Schitt's Creek. Dirk Gently's something or another, Extract with what's his name? Jason Bateman, I forget. Jason Bateman, I think. A Simple Favor. He plays a character called Chris in that. So that was a pretty popular movie. Okay, so I'd say of these three so far, he seems to be doing the most well. Okay, okay. Amanda Crew. Okay, so Amanda Crew seems to actually, okay, I take that back. So it's, Amanda Crew seems to be the most well-established of the three leads here, I would imagine. She's been in movies like The Haunting in Connecticut, which is an okay movie. I remember seeing it. I think it's okay. Looking at the poster here with the stuff coming out of the kid's mouth, it looks so stupid. But I remember seeing the film and thinking it's okay. I think maybe they have an unrated version of the film that I saw, because I definitely didn't see the theatrical version. So maybe that's why that particular film gets a lot of negativity. But I feel like that film's pretty good. Final Destination 3, Age of Adeline with Blake Lively and some other handsome fella, whoever knows. I think it might be the guy from Game of Thrones. I don't know. I'm not clicking on that film because I don't care. Sex Drive, I like that movie a lot. It's got the donut on the cover. Wait, is that the film where it's got what's his name, Marston? He's Cyclops, you know Cyclops, from those X-Men movies. What's his name? He's in Sonic the Hedgehog as well. Okay, James Marston. Yes, I knew he was in this film. Okay, I've definitely seen this film. I love this film, Sex Drive. I think it's great. It's very underrated. It's got a 6.5 out of 10 here on IMDb. Check that out if you're looking for a good comedy. I actually want to rewatch it now, just thinking about it, because I rewatched Superbad a couple of months ago, and I really loved that movie more. I've seen it more than I've seen it about a handful of times. I just can't exactly remember how many times I've seen Superbad, between seeing it with friends and, you know, just on and off here and there. But it's a very great movie, Superbad. It's definitely gotten its deserved appraisal, in my opinion. Whereas a film like Sex Drive is sort of just like cast off as another generic slacker comedy. I think it's very funny. And yeah, check it out. But but check out Repeaters from 2010 with Amanda Crew, who happens to be in Sex Drive that came out in 2008. Yeah, she's probably like one of the love interests in that movie, more so of a generic role than in Repeaters. She's wonderful in Repeaters. I really don't remember who the hell she was in Sex Drive, so my apologies to that for not exactly remembering a movie that I saw about like 10 years ago as a kid or whatever, but I remember liking it, so I'm tempted to watch it again. And remember, watch Repeaters and drink wine, but only if you're of age. I'm sick and tired of YouTube having that, is this video for children? You know, is this content friendly for children? It's like, of course not. Of course not. This content's not for kids. You know, I'm talking about a movie that's 14A. You know, of course I'm not going to make this fucking G-rated content. I'm not going to sell my casino gambling website at the end of this video like all these other bastards do. They monopolize off of these children that happen to be watching their videos. I'm not about that lifestyle. No, thank you. I'd rather make my money the old-fashioned way, work hard, always work, rather than just being a lazy slob and just making all your money off of being a streamer forever, or being an cam girl or whatever the hell, just sleazy type of garbage like that. But hey, we all appreciate it, though. We all appreciate the work you put into it by not working whatsoever. Anyhow, you guys, my rambling, raving, at least my tongue is red. It's not white like it usually is. Drink wine, guys. Drink red wine. Red wine is up to you. Drink it every day. Every day, live happy, be happy. Stop taking life so fucking seriously. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna meet our maker by the end of this. You know, we shouldn't take this for granted. We should try to be the best of ourselves and try to share positive messages and share movies that are worth talking about. Damn it. Like the reason why I want to make this video is because I'm sick and tired of these channels that I love talking about movies that are known, you know? Like, I love discovering new movies, you know? I love it when my favorite channels talk about movies that aren't exactly, like, publicly known. You know what I mean? Like I'd want to say my favorite channel on YouTube when it comes to movie reviews is this channel called Good Bad Flicks. Highly recommend his channel. I love this guy. I hope he's doing well now, because I know he had something happen around the time this COVID-19 crap really swirled its head around. But I hope he's doing well now. He's had a couple of recent videos out now, but he did a video and saying that, you know, he might not make videos for a while. I hope he's doing good now, because I really love the guy and I love his channel. And I don't think I mentioned his channel in the last video, but if you haven't seen his video on it, I'd highly recommend it. especially if you're as interested in this film as I am. It's his video exploring the Crow City of Angels and all the malarkey that those morons put that production crew through when it comes to that film. That's why that film is my number one most wanted director's cut of all time. I mean, there's no other film that I can think of that even comes close to the Crow City of Angels when it comes to director's cuts that I want to see. I would literally forego this whole entire movement of the Snyder cut and the Ayer cut and all this baloney garbage. I would rather see a director's cut of the Crow City of Angels any day over a Snyder cut of Justice League or a Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. I just don't care about those films as much as I do the Crow City of Angels, and I really feel like that film got wronged. And I will not stop talking about that film. I'll bring it up in every fucking video if I have to, because how the hell that hasn't had a Tim Pope cut, an actual director's cut. The director's name is Tim Pope for the Crow City of Angels. How the hell he hasn't had his director's cut officially released yet is beyond me. And those slobs, those Weinsteins, can all go fuck themselves. That cocksucker Harvey Weinstein can rot in jail forever and fucking die. I don't care what the hell happens to that sloppy, slobbering around piece of trash, waste of breath known as Harvey Scissorhands. I fucking hate that guy. All of those Weinsteins, every one of those sloppy executives that take advantage of the contract, that don't let directors make the films that they want because they want to turn it into something else, are complete and utter fucking garbage. Fuck you. If you are a producer out there and you sign off on a movie and you sign off on a script, and then at the end of it you decide to change it for spite, you are a piece of excrement, and you should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be ashamed of yourselves because you don't sign off on something if you don't agree with it. Period. You don't sign off on anything that you disagree with, even in the slightest. You talk about it, you discuss it. So I don't know what the fuck this deal is with these stupid executives and their harebrained decisions to change the films of the directors that they hired in the first place. It absolutely disgusts me. The fact that this will happen and it will keep happening until you talk about it. And shut the fuck up the ones that say it's a bad thing to talk about it. Because you are the problem. You're the slobs that give us the mediocre, trite, garbage movies over and over and over again in Hollywood that they keep churning out. You are the slobs that are responsible if you support this Hollywood rhetoric that tells fans that they shouldn't support their filmmakers that they like, that they know had a vision. And it's despicable. And you should be ashamed of yourselves if you support this rhetoric, and you are absolutely shameful human beings for doing so, especially if you're monopolizing it. You dirty pigs. That's the end of this video. I'm happy to rage with you guys for a bit if you watch this video. I know some people subscribe to my channel for the rage aspect of it, and I'm happy to spread it a little, you know, because if you don't be angry, if you don't decide to get angry a little bit with some of your shit, then, you know, you're holding back. You're holding back. And you gotta step up. And you gotta make better content. Because being fucking lazy and being just going through the motions, making the same video again and again and again, is just pathetic. No matter how much money you make. If you are making the same video again and again and again and again, then you are pathetic. And you need to step the fuck up. And I love preaching to the choir. Anyhow, Thank you guys for listening to my profanity-filled rant at the end there. I'm happy to talk about this wonderful movie. Who knows? Maybe I'll talk more about it in the future. But I've decided I'm not going to edit this video. I'm just going to upload it verbatim because fuck it. I don't care. I'm drinking heavy. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care, everybody.